So we just got the news, what we all expected. Quinn Ewers is officially starting for Texas. It is kind of funny, earlier I literally read something, I think it was on Reddit, that said Hudson Card was going to be the starter for Texas. Even if Hudson Card right now, this moment, is better than Ewers for Texas and for their future, if the quarterbacks are at least comparable, I would 100% start Quinn Ewers, get him as much experience as possible, especially considering he's never started a college football game. He reclassified. He really should be a true freshman because he should have been a senior in high school last year. So Quinn Ewers will be the starter. I am looking forward to that Week 2 game with Texas. Unfortunately, it is on big noon. But you've got Ewers, you've got Worthy, you've got Bijan Robinson. I do think Alabama's going to win. And Bama, you want to talk about Will Anderson and Dallas Turner, the pass rushing combo. Both of those guys possible. Will Anderson's the best player in college football. Dallas Turner's possibly a top 30 or 40 player in college football. He's a former 5-star. So Ewers, again, this is a situation where even if Card is a little bit better for his development with the overall potential, you got to roll with Quinn Ewers. So he is officially starting for Texas. Again, it was funny how they literally reported it earlier that they might go with Card, and then immediately they come out with the Friday dump and say that Ewers will be starting Week 1, and you get him as much experience as possible because of that massive Week 2 matchup against Alabama. How about this one? Despite financial woes, Rutgers Football spent basically $500,000 on DoorDash in a 14th-month time period. So Rutgers, you know what? They deserve it. Rutgers is actually, their program is on a good trajectory. I just love the way this headline was written. Despite financial woes, Rutgers football players order $500,000. I don't need, that seems like an excessive amount. But those football rosters are very big. Personally, I've never ordered DoorDash. Someone was explaining to me the idea of DoorDash, and I was like, it didn't compute. I was like, oh, so you can basically have a 5-star restaurant at your house. If you order food from one of these fancy restaurants and they bring them to your house, it doesn't compute with me. I don't know. It's something like that. So, yeah, they take the food, they bring it to you. Of course, people concerned about, let's be honest, guys. The problem with DoorDash is they're not really vetting the people that they hire. In fact, I think you could get a job at DoorDash today, and you've got people, you're trusting those people with your food. That might be a little bit of an issue, but maybe that's just me, being mad or whatever. And then we've got this, guys. I've laid it out there. This is the future Big Ten. We are going to 20 teams. What an outstanding graph this is by Playoff Edits. What a great individual he is. But you guys can take a look at this. And yes, I do agree with him. This is leaving Notre Dame out. So you're adding Stanford. You're adding Cal. You're adding Washington and Oregon. You're getting that West Wing. And they would certainly take Notre Dame if Notre Dame wanted to get in. But it seems like Notre Dame is obsessed with being an independent. I've got nothing against that. That's their decision. They're leaving money on the table. If they were to join the Big Ten, they would make more money, but that's their decision. And it looks like this is the 20-team Big Ten Conference. It alleviates the travel concerns for USC and UCLA that they're going to face if they were the only two Western schools. With these 6 teams on the West Coast, you have a full West Wing. Now you have a 10 o'clock time slot to where you can put one of your premier games at 10 o'clock. That's 4 windows now for the Big Ten. Noon, 3:30, 7:30, 10 o'clock. And if these 4 teams get added, ESPN will 100% be in on a renegotiated TV deal. And I expect ESPN to get the 10:30 window. That's Fox getting the big noon window. It's CBS getting the 3:30 window. It's NBC getting the primetime 7:30 window. It's ESPN getting the Big Ten after dark 10:30 window. That is what I'm projecting right now. And this model completely lays it out. It says California in, Notre Dame out, because we're not sure if Notre Dame really wants to join the Big Ten. Seems like they want to be an independent, at least right now. Of course, there's always the idea Notre Dame caves into the money and wants to join the Big Ten. How about this story? Scott Frost not concerned about excessive vomiting by Nebraska's offensive line. Quote, he's just working them hard. And you can see this. Frost estimated there are 15 to 20 total vomits per practice for the offensive linemen under the new position coach, Donovan Raiola, who is Dylan Raiola's father. Now, Dylan Raiola is the number 1 overall recruit in the class of 2024, and it seems like they were just interviewing Scott Frost very standard, and he just kind of said it like it was normal. Like, yeah, I mean, our offensive linemen are throwing up 15 to 20 times per practice, and then people on social media are like, yeah, that's not healthy. He says, quote, it's not because they're not in shape. He's just working them hard. I think they loved it. So, yeah, this is a big story now. I mean, maybe he's exaggerating. I would say 15 to 20 times per practice does seem excessive. And there were several former offensive linemen that were like, this is not healthy. If this is legitimately true, there's an issue. I mean, I know it's very hot right now in Omaha. We've had, really, really hot summers, and kind of an interesting story. We'll see what happens on that. Pac-12 Offensive Player of the Year winners the last 10 years. There's some interesting names. Yeah, that's why I wanted to highlight this. I remember, it's just look at some of these names. I remember Bryce Love. I think Bryce Love ruined his NFL career by the amount of rushes he got at Stanford. I mean, I think he set some record for the amount of carries he received his senior season. Didn't Bryce Love come back after 2017 for 2018 and then suffer an injury and then go undrafted? I don't know. Maybe I got that wrong. Jake Browning, Christian McCaffrey. Guys, the Christian McCaffrey thing is really interesting. So I remember that Heisman race, Christian McCaffrey versus Derrick Henry. And I'll be honest, I agree. Derrick Henry should have been the Heisman. There were people from the Pac-12 saying because McCaffrey played at 10:30 and things like that. My whole issue with that whole argument, they were combining McCaffrey's kickoff return yards and punt return yards to his rushing and receiving, which you can't do. When you're returning a kickoff, you get basically 20 free yards before you're even touched. So, I know this is so far back, nobody cares about this, but, the whole argument, they were, remember, it was all-purpose yards. That was the argument, and I am not some Bama fan, but what Derrick Henry did, and, they were, is Christian McCaffrey more of a definition of a Heisman do-it-all winner than Derrick Henry? Probably. Did McCaffrey playing half his games or whatever it was at 10:30 at night hurt his chances? Absolutely. And just overall, the Pac-12 is going to be less relevant because they play that late and the conference has been down. But that argument, they were trying to combine his kickoff return yards. You get 25 kickoff return yards before you're even touched. You on a kickoff return. Nobody even said that. So I just thought, I don't know. I do remember Kadeem Carey, Marquise Lee. So there is definitely some names. Gardner Minshew, who is currently in the NFL. And then we've got this little graph here, the ACC returning starters. Great news for Syracuse, right? No, but seriously, this is why people think Clemson is going to win the ACC. I think that people saying Clemson is done or they're, Dabo's done, things like that. Guys, Clemson had a horrible year. They had horrible quarterback play last year. They still won 10 games. They have a ridiculous defense. With their recruiting, they, one of the top teams in total, overall average recruiting. Clemson is going to be ridiculous. NC State should be good. Florida State, you got to just feel bad for. I mean, ever since the Travis Hunter situation, I've just started to feel bad for Florida State and what happened, if you guys know. Wake Forest, obviously the Sam Hartman condition. We don't know when he's going to be back. He's out indefinitely. Pittsburgh is a team I think is really overrated. Without Jordan Addison, I don't think they finish ranked. Boston College isn't bad. North Carolina, they've got a new quarterback. We'll see, although I love Josh Downs. Miami, I'm really high on with Tyler Van Dyke. The one question, does Miami have enough playmakers at the receiver position? They do have a really good tight end. Virginia Tech, Louisville with Malik Cunningham. Duke might be the worst Power 5 team in college football this year. Virginia, I'm really high on. The offense is going to be ridiculous. And then Georgia Tech with just 8 returning starters. And Georgia Tech has an extremely tough schedule. There are a lot of people within the industry that do think Georgia Tech is going to win probably like 3 games this year because they've got a ridiculously hard schedule. And then how about this? The biggest decommitment possibly, or one of the biggest decommitments of the 2022 recruiting cycle, Keon Keeley decommits from Notre Dame. He's a top 10 overall player. Oh, it couldn't have happened to a better university. Guys, the thing with Notre Dame fans, I've been nothing but nice to them. And it's like they're so arrogant and it just gets so annoying. They've been bragging about their recruiting class and now they suffer a major decommitment. They still have a great class. Marcus Freeman is still a great recruiter, but this was their one superstar. And unfortunately, the rich get richer here. Maybe Ohio State might have a chance, but they're definitely second behind Alabama. He is expected to visit Ohio State September 3rd for the Week 1 huge night game against Notre Dame. But, I would say Alabama definitely leads. Ohio State would be a distant second at this point. And this kid is a superstar edge rusher. So that is an update on the top recruit. But guys, that's going to do it for this video. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.